Company of Heroes 3 is now officially out for consoles. How does it look and play? Today I will be giving you my own perspective. As a game ported over from PC, I believe Relic has done a pretty good job of getting the game to look good while also providing a control scheme that works. I would like to begin by talking about the graphics. The PlayStation 5 offers both resolution and performance modes. Resolution is set at 4K targeting 30 frames per second, and performance is set at 1080p targeting 60 FPS. This is an example of the game running on the performance mode. It is very easy to notice the less than impressive ground textures. In fact, the ground textures is the first thing you will notice when playing on performance. It was actually upsetting to me at first because I was expecting the game to look just as a PC gaming rig would run it. However, character, vehicle and building detail is still very top notch. Even some of the war buildings don't look that bad. Some of the caveats, of course, is that the game doesn't offer a lot of vertical rotation, as in to see further into a city or a road. Relic most likely took this decision as to not force the game to drop too many frames while keeping the player concentrated on what is actually happening on screen. Up next, I will be showing you how the game looks and plays in the resolution mode. In resolution, the game reminds me more of what it would look like if you were playing it on a gaming PC. The textures are very crisp, the ground doesn't look as smudgy as it looks in performance mode, and I believe shadows and character vehicle details are all improved upon. This all comes with a lower frame rate set at 30 frames per second. While the visual fidelity is greatly appreciated, it might be jarring for some to play in resolution mode. I would love it if Relic worked to include a 4K, 120Hz, 40 frames per second mode. This brings us to the most important part of the game review, controls. And this is a big factor for a lot of us. Playing an RTS game on a controller will definitely throw off even the most veteran PC and console gamers. I am happy to announce that Relic has allowed not only DualSense support, but you can also use a mouse and keyboard. That's right, if you have any old mouse and keyboard with an USB dongle, hook that sucker up to your PS5 and you're good to go. If you go this route, the game will switch to the PC interface, where abilities or upgrades are on the bottom right corner of the screen. Everything works pretty well this way if you'd rather not use the controller.
We're fighting fit once more.
But what if a mouse and keyboard isn't your thing? How do the controls fare on the DualSense? As a former PC gamer, we all get used to the precision of pointing and clicking with the mouse. And believe me, playing Company of Heroes 3 with a controller will have you pressing buttons you don't want all over the place at first. Fear not, as with anything with little practice it starts to become second nature. I do have a couple of recommendations for playing with the DualSense. Go to settings and go to camera settings. The game will by default have a very slow pan speed setting. That means when you want to move your screen around, it will take you almost twice as long as you would want it to. This is why I have increased my speed up substantially.
Corporal, we need your help. The German soldiers are holding some of our people.
I also suggest increasing the controller pan speed modifier by a lot, as this will allow you to scroll across the map with ease. The modifier is used by holding the R2 button while scrolling. This helps when your units are in contact and they're really far away on the map. This is a must setting suggestion for anyone, especially veteran players that are used to the franchise on PC. As for the controls, the basic premise is that the face buttons are tied to move, retreat and attack move. Square is move, triangle is retreat and circle is attack move. Cross or X is used for confirming choices as upgrading a unit or calling a bomber or strafe run. Relic has adopted a radial wheel for abilities and upgrades. They are accessed by holding L2. In a way, I prefer the radial wheel as it removes the extra clutter on the bottom right corner of the screen. It gives us more of a view of the game. At first it might annoy you and you won't find unit upgrades as you have to press the up or down directional pad to move between them. You can also use the directional pad arrows to select your battle group tech tree abilities, deploy special battle group units such as a Gurkha rifle unit or a Panzerjäger half-track. If you press down arrow, you can go through all of the units you have in the battlefield and click any of them. even if they're off screen. Pressing the right analog stick would immediately take you to where that unit is. So what about the game? The campaign has a more traditional style Company of Heroes story mode and a much more fleshed out Italy campaign mode. The Africa Corp campaign is the traditional shorter one that you can beat in a couple of hours. The Italy campaign puts you as a commander of the Allies and has you taking cities and ports. The war map plays out as a turn-based game. Pick which city to attack or whether you want to weaken their defenses first with a bombing run or if you want a partisan group to take a fuel dump. You also have control of ships and can barrage the coastline. I am not a fan of turn-based games and thought I would hate this, but I didn't. It grew on me. Overall, I highly recommend the single-player content on Company of Heroes 3. Do not miss this out. I have played a few co-op matches versus AI, and I have had a lot of fun. There is a few abilities I don't really like though. There is an ability to breach a building and killing the infantry's side. I find it bothersome. Sometimes you really are busy on the battlefield and then find out a unit was wiped out and an enemy has taken over your building. Once or twice you will find one of your infantry units having trouble moving and stuck somewhere. Those are the only complaints I personally have so far. I have not played PvP as I was never a fan, so I'm sorry that I can't really offer an insight on it. However, I have heard some PC players complain about balancing issues. I hope Relic is listening to player feedback to make the game fun and fair for all to play. Thank you if you stayed until the end of my video, and remember that buying the game will help us get more RTS games on consoles, a genre that is much needed. Have a good one and keep the Jerrys at bay.
Capture points to enemy action.